Alright, everybody, we're here again. This time we're actually here with an actual comic book haul and not just going through my collection. I mean, I'm still going to be doing that, but today I actually got out and went to my local shop, picked some stuff up. Now, a lot of it was 25-cent books, picked up a nice little stack of those. But I did pick up a few kind of, $3, $4 decent Silver Age books or whatever, Bronze Age books. And I did pick up a key, like a minor key. So that's pretty cool. It was a pretty good day. I mean, I always spent I spent like less than $20 on everything, and I felt like I got a pretty good deal. So we'll see. And a lot of these 25-cent books are basically just, I sell all my books. Like all my books in my collection are for sale. But there's some books that I pick up more, more like with the secondary purpose being I just like the book, and there's some books I pick up because I feel like they might sell, or they're cheap enough, or whatever, or they fill a hole that some kind of part of my collection. So first up, we have X-Files number 1 as part of this season 10 storyline or whatever I run. And I actually picked up two copies of this. Well, actually, I picked up 3 copies of this, but one of them is a variant cover. It's the cover B, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just know it's a different cover in the same issue. But yeah, so I picked these X-Files books mainly just because, you know, I try to pick up other stuff besides superhero books, especially when I'm like, for my shop. I try to make sure I have I try to make sure I have like a little bit of variety on different type of comics and not just superhero stuff. Like I try to pick up kids cartoon related books when I can. Yeah, I try to pick up things based off of TV shows like X Files or Sons of Anarchy or something like that. Just different things that can get to different audiences. So, then we have a X-Men Second Coming number 14. I don't know anything about this. It's kind of a cool cover. It's an X-Men book, so enough said. 25 cents. Um, then we have Night Force number 1. Now this is probably something that won't sell that easily, but it's 25 cents, and it's Night Force, man. I don't know if you guys anybody know, but the original Night Force, which was like a short-lived comic book in the 80s, that's actually drawn by, well, it has Marty Wolfman on it, which he's a really great creator. He was basically the guy who he was the guy who recreated the X-Men in the Teen Titans, made them like really popular and put them in the spotlight. He's also famous for doing the Tomb of Dracula comic book, which is really successful in the day. And so yeah, so it's needless to say he knows his horror. He's very good with horror. And Night Force was kind of you know, it was at a time when he was really popular and he couldn't do any damage. So they basically gave him a passion project. They let him do a passion project, something he wanted to do, like something he created, and that was Night Force. Now it was a cool comic, but it just didn't last very long. Just for a couple of different reasons. It wasn't advertised all that well, and if I remember right, it didn't come out very quickly. Like they had some delays or whatever. So that, just a couple of different things that hurt the sales. But and back then, sometimes sometimes it would take months to get your sales back to find out if the book was actually successful. So a lot of times they would cancel books and then find out that the last issue was sold like more than the whole run it did before. So then you'd be like, oh well, we already canceled it. But yeah, Night Force is a pretty cool little horror kind of supernatural based comic about a group of individuals that would come together to fight the supernatural, and their leader was like this guy who was like trapped in his house. Like he had this magical mansion, kind of like Dr. Fate's tower, but he had this magical mansion that had that all the doors like led to different worlds and different places. And so it was basically this big gateway to everything. It was full of knowledge and all this stuff. But the catch was he was like cursed and he couldn't leave his house. So he basically had to recruit this group of people that he would send on missions and stuff. And it was just an interesting idea for a story. It was very, very cool. If you ever get a chance, check out some of the old Night Force issues. That being said, I don't know what this particular run of Night Force is about. I mean, I don't really know how close it is to the source material. But I bought it just on name alone. Then we have like issue of Century, number 5 of 8. This is part of a miniseries, I'm assuming. Then we have a number 4 of 8. Yeah, I don't really know that much about this character, but I do know he has a fan base, so pick him up. Then we have Infinite Crisis, number 3. This is actually based off that this is actually based off that kind of short-lived game that got canceled. It was a MOBA, if you know what MOBAs are. It's a certain genre of games, and this was a MOBA where you could play as different DC characters, but they had lots of different characters from different Earths, like different versions of the characters. So that was kind of cool. You had like steampunk Batman. You had I don't know. You had robotic Joker, all kinds of weird stuff. And I find it kind of interesting that there's a downloadable code on this book that you can redeem to get a special character from the game. The only problem is, the game has been canceled and out of production for like what 5-6 years now. So have fun with that code, but it's still kind of an interesting thing. Yeah. Um, then we have X Factor number 246. I didn't even know X Factor went that far. This is kind of a cool cover with a puzzle. What is it with these X-Men covers and puzzles? I think I've noticed at least 3 or 4 covers in the last 5-10 years that had something to do with a puzzle on the cover. I just kind of find it kind of interesting here. It's just something I noticed. Um, then we have this Kirby Genesis Captain Victory. I really don't know what these are because it's funny. I actually thought this was a Marvel book at first because it says Kirby and Kirby's mostly associated with Marvel, but apparently this is a dynamic series and apparently it's focused on character. I'm assuming it's focused on characters that Kirby made. I don't really know, but it had a cool cover. It's a cool Alex Ross cover. Because Alex Ross does a lot of work for Dynamic. I think he helped found Dynamic. If I'm not sure, I I want to say that's true. That he had, I don't know, he had some kind of big part in doing Dynamic. He might be the founder. Or he might be like a co-owner or something. I'm not sure. Then we have the King of the Savage Land. This is basically a book about the Hawk's son, who I showcased in another comic book that I don't think I actually posted yet because I have like 3 videos that are in the queue. That this one's going to go before them. This is part number 3 of 5 of the miniseries. I like this. I just picked this up based on the cover because the cover is featuring a couple of characters that are just really like obscure, little known characters. You got Rawhide Kid in the middle. I think that's who it is. One of those cowboy kid characters. Then you got Quasar, who's not really that little known. But then you get the Devil Dinosaur and the little Monkey Boy. They're pretty freaking little known. So I thought it was a cool cover. Then we have Spider-Verse. This is a really cool kind of retro inspired 50s cover. It's also a Spider-Verse book, and I know they're making an animated movie off of Spider-Verse soon, like late next year. So I figured I would just jump on the Spider-Verse bandwagon and pick this up since it was 25 cents. It has kind of a cool like panel back. It's not a real actual back; it's just a panel. That's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool. It'd probably make for a cool graded book. Who's going to grade that? I mean, honestly. Then we have another Kirby Genesis book. This one is the Silver Star, who I don't know who this character is at all. So, yeah, I'm assuming these are just like reimaginings of old characters that Kirby worked on back in the day that Dynamic has the rights to. Because that's kind of what Dynamic does. They pick up the rights to these really small, old, obscure, Golden Age characters that are pretty much in. I think they usually use characters that are in public domain that don't have any ownership, and then they revamp them, fit them in their universe. Okay, I thought it was 2 different books, but it's one of those flip covers where it has 2 different covers and 2 different issues. But yeah, we got this G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. This is a movie adaptation, basically based off that really crappy, horrible movie that G.I. Joe made. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Yeah, no one we don't talk about anymore. And then on the back side, it has this other cover for Savior number 28. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know what Savior is, but. And then the last 4 or 5 books I want to talk about are going to be my actual, like my kind of like the meat and potatoes of this haul. They're like the the Silver Age books and stuff. So let's get into it. First off, we have Batman number 378 or 373. This is I just picked this up because it's a really cool. It's a really cool kind of Bronze Age cover. Well, not Bronze Age. That's probably like 90s. I think it's 90s. No, it came. It was 19. It was in 1984. So this is kind of a really cool little cover. I really love the art. And it's just, these older Batman books are always good to buy if you can get them at a good price. This is $2. I didn't think $2 was a bad price, so I picked it up. Then we have this Firestorm Annual. I only paid $2 for this as well. This is a really cool cover. It's a really it's annuals. Annuals are usually pretty nice because they're thicker books. They had more pages to them. They usually had kind of cool stories. So it's always worth checking out an annual, especially if you can get an annual for like less than $5 or whatever, and that's always a really good idea to do. There's lots of characters on this cover, man. Like lots of characters. You got the ones that I noticed right off of the bat are Killer Frost. You got Hangman, or no, not Hangman, Slipknot, and you got Pied Piper down there. You got, I forget his name, but he's like this Native American character. He's wearing like a blue bull helmet on or whatever. So yeah, got some different characters there. Interesting cover though, because a lot of these people are not even Firestorm villains. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I like it. I like this cover a lot. It's got a little bit of damage, or not damage, but it's got a little bit of kind of wear on the sides. Like staples look like they're kind of coming, not really coming out, but the staples just look like they're out there. They don't look furry. They look kind of dirty and stuff. So you can definitely tell this book's been read and stuff. Kind of a fun fact, for people that are like more of a, that are more TV show viewers and that don't really know their comic books as well. Killer Frost is over here in the corner right there. She is originally, if you watch Arrow, if you watch Flash, you would know that she's a major player in the Flash universe and the show or whatever. But she's originally a Firestorm exclusive villain. Like, she originated fighting Firestorm. She was a huge villain for Firestorm. Pretty much his most notorious villain. And she was also his love interest. Always dating him, which they do in the cartoon. The cartoon not the cartoon. The TV show, that's how they started off. They started off with, Caitlin and Ronnie, who were, Firestorm. They're lovers, but they quickly kind of derail that whole storyline because Ronnie dies and all that, and Caitlin moves on. And then by the time she actually becomes Killer Frost, she never even Ronnie's not even alive anymore by the time she becomes Killer Frost. So it's just kind of a weird development, but yeah, that's why in the TV show they were like that, because they were big enemies / lovers in the comic books. They have a very they have like a Batman Catwoman kind of dynamic in the comic books. I'm gonna save that one for last. Then we have next couple books are all these kind of same kind of book, and these are really kind of interesting. You don't see these very often. These are not like in the best shape, but they're old and they're rare. So even if you can get them in kind of bad shape, it's still a good price for what I paid for these. So first up we have, Green Lantern, the Blue Ribbon Digest special for $4. Not really a bad price. I kind of want to get. I don't know if they make bagging boards that are designed for stuff this size, but I wouldn't mind getting some. So yeah, this is interesting. These are really cool because you got a lot of pages. I don't know if you can tell, but these books are really thick. You get a lot of pages, and you only pay like 95 cents for this, which isn't really much. I probably if I had to guess, that probably equaled like $3 or something back in the day. Well, no, it probably equaled like $5. It was probably $3 is what you pay for an average comic book. And I'm sure this was a little bit more expensive than an average comic book. So you probably pay like $5-6 for it if you calculated it. But that's still good, I just dropped it, probably ruined the grade. I'm kidding, it's still good. But yeah, it has 6 different award-winning stories in there, written by Danny O'Neil and Neil Adams, and that's a really amazing creative team. So I'm sure there's some good stuff in there, some good reading in that book. Then we have I'll go with this one first. Then we have another Green Lantern book. This one has an awesome cover. This one's more beat up, but I just had to get it because of the cover. I'm a sucker for Alan Scott, the original Earth 2 Green Lantern. So I love getting anything with him on it, with him on the cover, or whatever. It's just an awesome cover. I only paid $3 for it, so I'm not mad about that. And it has 6 stories inside of it, and so that's pretty cool. My shop actually had quite a few of these. These were just the ones that were, these were the cheaper ones and the ones that were more interesting to me. Like they had a couple that I wouldn't mind getting that, but they were a little more pricey and they were kind of out of my budget for the day. So like they had a Superman one. There was a bunch of old Silver Age stories. They had a couple. They had a couple Teen Titans ones, and they also had like a couple of just like, well, they had one. It was like $30. I don't know why it was $30 when all the other ones were cheaper, but it was like a collection of horror stories. Like it was like some old '60s horror stories. I might get that one. I'll have to look it up. I'll have to see if that shit worth $30. And then the next one we have is a Teen Titans one, because I did pick one of the Teen Titans ones up. This is the one. They had a couple of Teen Titans one, but this is the one that was in the best shape and had the best price to it. Like the other one was in worse shape, and I think they wanted $4 or $5 for it. I was like, but yeah, this is cool. It's classic Marty Wolfman, Teen Titans, art. So yeah. And then my last book I have for today, the last thing I picked up is it's a minor key, and it's actually a key that I've seen in my shop many times, because my shop's a small shop. It doesn't get a whole lot of traffic. I mean, it does get traffic. It gets a lot of traffic. It just doesn't get a lot of comic book collector traffic, because it's a hobby shop. They deal with Magic the Gathering. They deal with like Warhammer and Dungeon Dragons, and they have it's also a sports memorabilia place. So you have lots of traffic, but not really. People are not really digging through the comic books that much. And the people that are comic book fans in my town, they're mostly just readers. They mostly read up-to-date new stuff. So you don't really get too many comic book hunters like me that go out looking for older, more obscure stuff. So usually if I'm going through the long boxes, because he has like the same long boxes that have been there for ages, years. So usually if you're going through these, you're going to see the same books over and over, and it's just a process of elimination. It's like, I go in there one day and I pick up a few of them, then I go in there a week later and pick up some other ones, and eventually you get everything that you want, and usually you don't have to worry about anything disappearing, because it just doesn't happen that often. So, needless to say, there were a couple keys that I didn't even realize were keys. I like they're minor keys, but I didn't realize they were keys until I started like watching some of these YouTube videos that this community has put out, which you guys are a great community, by the way. So there was a couple of videos that I saw where a couple different books, and then when I saw them talking about the comic book, I kind of recognized it. I was like, wait a minute, my LCS has one of those just sitting in the middle of a long box, and I think both of them are actually, there's two that I remember for sure that I saw videos, and I have one right here, but like they're actually like a cheaper price than what I've seen other people pay for them. So I was like, oh man, I gotta get this. So the other one that I didn't pick up, I'm gonna try to pick up next time if it's still there, which it should be. I've literally seen that comic on his wall. He has a wall of like his more pricey books. I've literally seen that book on his wall for like months now. But it's an X Factor #2, which is the first appearance of somebody. I think it's the first appearance of Cable. I'm not 100% sure. I think I read that. I heard that in somebody's video. Needless to say, I've seen that a bunch of copies of that book go for like $15, $20. So and my shop has it for $8. So I was like, why not? I'll buy it. I just didn't do it yet, but I will do it. The next book was also $8, which is pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good price. I looked up some prices, and like there are some people selling this book for that same price. But there's also some people selling this book for like 15, 20, 25, 30. So we'll see. But it is Batman 457. First Tim Drake. So yeah. I've seen this book actually pop up a lot in different videos, and I was like, and at first people weren't saying what was important about it. They were just showing it off, and I was like, why do people keep buying this book? Like, what is special about this book? And so I think I watched a video just the other day, and finally somebody was like saying how it was the first Tim Drake or whatever. So I was hyped. But I don't know if this is actually, I don't know if this is like this is the pricey version or not, because I thought I saw I thought I saw a video where somebody had a different variant of this. Like, I don't know. Let me know if there's different variants of this, but I thought I saw somebody's video where it was the same book, but on the very top over here it said something about a new Robin, like the new age of a new Robin or something like that. I don't know if that was like an edit or something, or that was like a reprint that came out later. But I hope not. I hope this is actually the book. I mean, it was $8, so which my shop owner doesn't really price books that high, especially books this new. He doesn't really price books like that high unless it's like something special. So it was cool. And the fact that it's Tim Drake's first appearance is really what sold me on it, because I've said in some videos that I'm a big Tim Drake fan. That's my Robin. That's the Robin I grew up on. He's kind of got a nostalgia factor for him. So I didn't realize where his first appearance was. So so I figured why not get his first appearance. It's not that expensive. So yeah, I picked it up. Got the book. So cool. I can add that to my keys. I don't have a whole lot of keys, but I do have a few. I can't actually tell you my keys right now. I have like maybe 3 or 4. I have first appearance of Robin. I have the first issue of V for Vendetta, first appearance of V, whatever they call him. I do have Legion of Superheroes, whatever it's called, like the first appearance of Mordu, like the evil wizard guy. Oh, is that his name? I don't really know if that's really a big key or not, but it is a first appearance. And then I also have I have this right by me, so why not show it off? I guess this is kind of like my prized possession of my collection right now. I think it's like the single most valuable book I have, and I mean that's not really saying a lot because it's really not that expensive, but and that's Secret Wars number 8. This is a really good condition issue of this too. It's in really nice shape. So yeah. I think I picked it up recently. I think I paid like $40 for it or something. It was a while back. Well, it was like a few months back. So yeah, that's cool. And and I don't have this book in my collection anymore, but I do want to share this story because it's just crazy. So I was at a flea market a while back. And I go inside this flea market. Well, it was like a trade show, but it was like a stand. So I go inside this guy's stand, and he has a stack of comic books kind of sit on the side, and he had 2 stacks. He had 1 stack, and then all the books were like bagged and board, and they had little price tags on it, different price tags, like 4 or 5, 8, 9, whatever. Then he had another stack of books that were just that he had told me were marked. He told me they were all marked 25 cents, the ones that were in that box, and they're all just loose issues, no bag, no board, no price tags. So I go through like I go through the box of bag and board stuff first. I see a few books I like. I kind of pull them to the side. And then I start going through 25-cent books. I'm like, and I was kind of happy with myself. I was like, I already found a couple cool books. Maybe hopefully that's good enough for me. I think I found a Swamp Thing, something else that was kind of weird. Well, I keep going through the list of loose books. Sure enough, about halfway through that list of books, I see a book, and I recognize it as a key, and I'm just like, what? What is this doing in a 25 cents loose bundle of comics? So I immediately went and bought the book and got out of that store before I felt bad for ripping this guy off, or before he realized that he was losing money. And it was Deadpool's first appearance. It was the whatever issue of New Mutants. And I recognized the cover. I recognized it as Deadpool's first appearance. I looked inside of it. I was like trying to make sure it wasn't a reprint or whatever. And as far as I could tell, it was the actual book. I mean, I sold it for actual book price, so I'm assuming that it was the actual book. But and it was in really good shape. It wasn't like in the best shape in the world, but it was in good shape. I probably would have graded it like an 8. And that's pretty good for like a raw grade. Not in shell or anything. So that was amazing. I love that. Was like my best comic book find. That's my best comic book find ever. Like, notwithstanding books I own right now, out of all the books I've ever owned, that was definitely the most profitable, trade or flip I ever did, because I paid like 25 cents for that book, and this was a long time. This was a while back, and I think I paid 25 cents for that book, and I think I sold it. I want to say I sold it for like $200, something like that. It was good. It was a good trade off. I mean, and it might be worth more now, but whatever. But yeah, you can't live in the past. So yeah, I just wanted to share that story real quick because I thought it's an awesome story. It's definitely probably it's my most impressive story for comic book related stuff. And if you guys have any crazy grails that you found for like dirt cheap that you made like a huge profit on, or that you have a huge return on because you still have them in your collection, let me know. Start a conversation up in the comments and let me know if you've ever picked anything up like that. Like if you've ever picked up like I don't know, fucking Action Comics #1 for like $10 back in like 1957 when you were like 10 years old. Let me know your stories, guys. But yeah, so as always, thanks and see you guys later.